The hospital lights hummed with a verdict of death, and Leo Vance knew the exact cost of his daughter's life, $5 million. He held 6-year-old Chloe's small, feverish hand, watching the last of the world's color drain from her face as her rare blood disorder raged. He had sold everything, begged every charity, and the staggering sum for the experimental treatment remained a cruel mirage. That was when Silas Thorne walked in. The billionaire CEO didn't just enter the room, he commandeered it, his tailored suit a stark contrast to the sterile despair. "I will fund the entire procedure, Mr. Vance," Silas said, his voice smooth as polished stone. "Every last cent. No repayment necessary." Leo fell to his knees, sobbing with a relief so profound it felt like its own kind of pain. He didn't see the cold calculation in Silas's eyes, a deal already sealed in the shadows. If you believe that true kindness deserves a second chance, then do something kind for our channel right now. Hit the like button, share this story with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to Grandpa's Book. For more tales of humanity's hidden corners, the treatment was a miracle. Within months, Chloe was a whirlwind of laughter and energy, her hair growing back in soft, chestnut curls. Leo's eternal gratitude to Silas was the bedrock of his new life. So, when Silas requested a private meeting a year later, Leo arrived at the penthouse overlooking the city with a heart full of thanks. Silas offered him a drink, his gaze unnervingly direct. "The treatment was a success, Leo. Chloe is healthy, but medicine, like business, is about long-term security. Her specific genetic makeup, it's unique, resilient. I need an heir, Leo, a biological one, to inherit my empire. My fiancé cannot conceive." A cold dread began to pool in Leo's stomach. Silas continued, his tone chillingly pragmatic. "I've had your daughter's eggs harvested and preserved during her treatments. The procedure is safe, routine. I intend to use a surrogate. This is not a request. It was the condition of my funding. The paperwork you signed in your desperation consented to all necessary future medical procedures for her full recovery." The world tilted. Leo's gratitude curdled into a violent, suffocating horror. He had traded his daughter's future, her very biology, for her present. He wasn't a saved father. He was a mark in a grotesque transaction. He raged. He threatened lawyers. But Silas merely presented the contract, the clause glaringly, legally binding. Silas's final words were a whisper of venom. "Fight me and I will not only reclaim every penny, leaving Chloe to relapse, but I will bury you under legal battles until she's 18 and I can approach her directly. Or you can explain it to her when she's older, and she will know her father allowed this to save her life. Your choice." Leo chose silence, a prison of his own making. He watched Chloe play in the park, her small hands building sandcastles, and saw not just his little girl, but a future young woman whose life had been mortgaged before she could understand. He became a ghost in his own life, smiling for Chloe while screaming inside. The change began with a name, Ilara, Silas's personal assistant, a woman with gentle eyes and a nervous habit of twisting her pen. She started delivering the mandatory wellness checks, Silas's way of monitoring his investment. One afternoon, as Chloe showed Ilara a detailed drawing of a three-legged dog, Leo saw Ilara's professional mask slip. A single tear traced a path down her cheek before she swiftly wiped it away. Later, she lingered at the door, the surrogacy process. "It begins next month," she said, unable to meet his eyes. "Mr. Thorne has selected a candidate." Her voice broke. "I was hired from a surrogacy agency myself, years ago. He owns the agency. The women, they sign impossible contracts too." In that moment, Leo saw not an accomplice, but another prisoner. A fragile alliance was born in that shared glance of despair. Elara began to leak information, digital files, encrypted keys, records of Silas's other shadowy dealings. Leo, a former investigative journalist before Chloe's illness, felt a dormant part of his soul stir. He wasn't just a broken father. He could be a gatherer of truths. The plan was terrifying and simple. Elara would access the central server the night before the surrogate procedure was scheduled. Leo would use the evidence to go not to the courts, but to the one entity Silas couldn't buy, the court of public opinion. He would tell his story with proof to a major news outlet. Time to go live simultaneously. It was a nuclear option that would explode their lives, but it was the only way to free Chloe and the other women from Silas's gilded cages. The night before the extraction, Leo tucked Chloe into bed, her nightlight casting a soft glow. "Daddy, are you scared?" she asked, sensing his tension. He kissed her forehead, breathing in the scent of strawberry shampoo. "Brave isn't about not being scared, my love," he whispered. "It's about doing the right thing even when you are." He sat in the dark, waiting for Elara's signal, praying his courage would be enough to repay the terrible debt he now owed his daughter. If this story of a father's impossible choice and a flicker of rebellion in the dark has touched your heart, please let me know in the comments. Your engagement helps stories like these find their way to those who need to hear them most. As the first gray light of dawn touched the sky, Leo's phone finally buzzed. It was a single word from an unknown number, "Ready." He opened his laptop, his heart a drum against his ribs. The files were their medical records, contracts, financial trails. He attached them to an email addressed to a relentless journalist, his finger hovering over the send button. Outside, the city began to wake, unaware that a silent war was about to break. He thought not of Silas's wrath, but of Chloe's laugh and of Elara's tear. He clicked send. The battle for their futures was no longer hidden in clauses. It was here, in the breaking day. And for the first time since Silas Thorne had entered that hospital room, Leo Vance felt raw, desperate and real. "Before you go," Grandpa asks, "what is the bravest choice you've ever made for someone you love?" Share your story of courage in the comments below.